thought I should introduce myself as a 76-year-old chemo-brained epileptic with a slightly swollen big toe. I'd like to cheer you up. At the age of 76, that I'm still breathing is a bit of a surprise to me. Many years ago, I worked in an office for an organisation that was then called British Railways in Hobbeath in Fife. And one of my workmates had himself, when he was younger, worked in the mines. And he arranged for me to have a guided tour one Saturday morning of Lumphinnans number 11. And it was quite an education for me, because you went, there's a great town, city, you could almost say, of roads under the ground. You go down in a rattly big cage that's big enough for probably a couple of dozen people down to the bottom, and then you wander around these places and you look into some of the actual working coal faces. And I'll always remember the chap who was taking us round pointed to one particular face, said, "This is a new one, we just opened it, do you fancy going in?" I looked and thought, no thanks. And on a Monday morning, a mate says to me, "Remember that face that we didn't venture in? It collapsed." And you think, these guys deserved, they were famous for militancy, if you like. And I thought, bloody hell, the militancy could be tenfold and they still would deserve more. Poetry is a strange pastime. You can get big epics, or you can get wee epics. Why did you fold the poem I sent you into a paper boat? I write in and will endeavour to read a poem in my native language, Gaelic, and one in English. But I'm going to have a go at a poem in Braid Scots. I probably heard Scots before I heard English, from the Skinners and the Jacks and the Patiences, the Och and the Black Isle. They were fishermen, ring-net fishermen, and they used to come into Uig, my native village. And when they came in, they would come up to our house, or if I saw their boats coming in, I would go down to the pier and they would invite me down for a cup of tea and converse with me. It was a one-sided conversation. I couldn't understand the bloody word they said, because they spoke a very distinct Braid Scots. So I would answer in what I hoped were affirmatives were appropriate and negatives where they were appropriate. Anyway, I'm also of a certain generation to remember music having changed from what I was experienced as a wee boy. So I wrote this poem called Blue Suede Shin. The tramcar sings its ain percussive sang with slow acceleration down the old reed sandstone shuchs fi Auchenshuggle to Dalmuir to Auchenshuggle, that eens were Gaelic fields, een cried for Mary, een for Rye. And now their tenemented tunes forward ayont the stent ye ken, atween Dus Pertic and the Glasgow Cross, baith Haydn get Brythonic roots. And that old shugly core will tak your keely cousin and yoursel toward the shops, your argain, ach, Haley Disney matter. There's nae dissension about that, but sign he's saying Presley's better, and your ain backspeak is, Perkins wrote the bloody sang, he surely kens best what it means and who to sing it. But listen to the blatter of the tram. Transistors canny kemp with yon. Aye, listen to the blatter of the tram. I'm sure there'll be a few present tonight who can remember possibly having a go at singing Blue Suede Shin themselves. Country Life for Alasdair Gray. God damn this earth, when not alive with stone, its bog, and always greedy for dung. There aren't cows here to shit a breakfast for spiky acres that clamour for feast. Not since the Great War have I had peace. Each year this place commits me to trench warfare, and what I win, I lose. It broke my Beth long time ago, it drove our sons away. She's dead, who with me made that dyke with stones we broke from the tillage. And still the wind lays flat the half-ripe corn, and still it's stony ground, and still each year I scrape a few potatoes from among the stones. And now that man in the big black shining limousine, he says the land is his, whom I've never seen before. He wants to rob me of over 50 years of sweat and pain. This is the only war I know. How can I make him understand I am too old for armistice? And I'll finish with Dalgachi. I'm always going to read the translation. I always prefer to read the original first, even if it may meet with incomprehension from most of my audience, but it's what I wrote, and the English is a translation only. Dalgachi. Siawn na gio I siwls na golan gaithe, sadagal af a chwag. Siawn na duliag yn jereg a geiri'r sgia sgasgwy a geiri sa siwl. Am brat yn sgrif fôr ymach yr hlia. Grian y don y sinig, ialach a geiri na'n parabala hyn, cwchlydioch iolach. Sair a siwl, fôr yr y greim, cloch môr a sgwyrig as y iau. Nŵl sy'n nawl i'r cala, ffocroch, a nŵl sy'n nawl, nŵl sy'n nawl, nŵl sy'n nawl. Going home. See the geese journeying and the swallows, long since the cuckoo went. See the red leaves rising on the wing of a gust, rising and travelling. The salmon is a great way out on his journey, the sun reclining, moon rising in their familiar changing parabolas. Summer journeying, autumn on his back, a great cloak spreading behind. Back and forward on the wharf, an exile, back and forward, back and forward, back and forward. Thank you.